AITA for sending my daughter to live with her mom because of what she said. 4 days ago my daughter, 14, and I got into a fight. Basically she was rude to her teacher and refused to apologize because that bitch deserved it. We got into a fight over this and she yelled that she hates me and wishes I was dead. I told her to get into the car and took her to her mom's home. She apologized and asked me to let her stay with me, but I said no, this is how your life is going to be if I'm dead. You have to experience it, and left her there. These past 4 days she has been sending texts begging me to let her come home, but I haven't answered any of her texts. My mom found out about it and called me a heartless asshole. Am I? I must add that her mom is the every other weekend parent. She is not abusive or anything like that, she is just very cold and my daughter hates her for that. Being a learning parent doesn't make you an AH. Sounds like you truly care and are doing the best you can. Everyone saying you're the just makes me think back to the hell I raised for my parents as a teenage girl from 13-16. Truly. Now that I have a 3 and 1-year-old daughter, I know it's coming. But you are right. 1 week at mom's and showing her the magnitude of her words is really just the tip of a nail as to what it'd be like if she truly lost you. Like a Beyond Scared Straight program. Harsh-ish. But she's safe and healthy there. YWBTA though, if you kept this charade up any longer after getting all this great advice and alternatives on how to approach this rough patch with your daughter, I say take the good advice and let this strengthen your relationship. Take her out to eat and explain that you didn't want to isolate her, but what she said hurt you so much. Ask her how she's really feeling and why. What you can do to help her as she's growing into a young adult, since life can be so confusing as a teenage girl, especially if mom is lacking. And lastly, set boundaries with each other. Even with the language you use with one another. If that's important to you, it will teach her to also set healthy boundaries in future relationships and friendships. This can be a great growing opportunity in many aspects for you too. Info. What happened between the teacher and your daughter? Did she perhaps feel attacked or abused by the teacher? If your daughter felt you were not understanding her side, she could be feeling alone and frustrated, though what she said is in no way okay. Info. What was the fight with the teacher about? Please read this article, it really explains a teen's brain when it comes to communication. I think it would be really helpful. I always think about the glitter in a jar metaphor, meaning their brain is like a shaken snow globe. When they are upset, and until it settles, just leave them be and then they can speak clear. If you speak while the snow is still shaken in the snow globe, you'll get the rude snappy responses. Their brains are still developing. https www.nytimes.com/2019/02/12/well/family/how to help teens weather their emotional stormsteml. My 11-year-old did about the same to my ex-wife last year. My ex hasn't seen her in 14 months and now my daughter doesn't want to speak with her anymore. Neither has asked about the other. I'm not going to judge. Parenting is hard. There can be consequences that you didn't plan on though. When I was sent away as a child, once my anger faded, all that was left was a horrible assumption that I wasn't wanted by my parent nor loved because, while extremely frustrated, I spoke out. Keep that in mind. I was the same age as your daughter at the time. I'm going to say NTA simply due to your ignorance, but you need to set this right. I don't understand why sending her away is the solution. If you and the mom lived together, where would you have sent her? You're punishing a kid for not being able to regulate their emotions. Something you have had 14 years teaching her. Clearly she doesn't like living with her mom. And "this is what your life will be like if I'm dead" is super petty. You raised a rude kid and this is your responsibility. YTA. You do not punish your kid by cutting off contact and withholding love. No wonder she's acting out. Go to therapy. You have 3 years to show your daughter how to better yourself. If you're really lucky, it's not too late. It always kills me when a divorced parent gets mad at their kid, and as punishment sends them to the other parent. What even is that? I mean, if you were still with them, would you just do nothing? Would you throw them out on the street? Or would you actually deal with the behavior? YTA. She's 14 FFS. If you were actually dead, she would have to live with her mother. But 4 days later, it's fine to assume it is okay to bring her back and have a talk with her. Remind her that while you won't be there for her forever, you wish she didn't say such a thing again. Because if an accident happened after such an argument, she would have to carry that burden. It's a teachable moment if talked through and not prolonged. You made your point. Go get her back. Edit to add. NTA. Info. What did the teacher do? YTA. When my daughter told me she hated me, etc., I would turn around and say, I love you enough for the both of us. She went through a rough patch, acting out, for valid reasons. But now at 35, she is an amazing human. I will never understand adults who react like to children in response to their child's poor behavior. I never thought about taking my daughter to her father's house because she said those words. And I can't fathom giving her the very immature, silent treatment for expressing her feelings. You could have let her cool off for a minute and then sat her down and discussed a more mature way to express feelings. But no, just think for a second what you are teaching her. It really sounds like her saying she wished you were dead triggered you. I'd strongly suggest calming down and then talking to her. This is an overreaction. The silent treatment isn't an emotionally mature thing to do, and honestly I think you know that. Because you're posting here. Stop seeing your kids' mistakes as a reason to punish them. There's a difference between punishment and consequences. For your sake and your daughter's, I hope you answer her, apologize, and open up a discussion with her. Trust. NTA. It's not normal to wish the death of your parents. And she's old enough to know the signification of the things she's saying. She need to learn to be accountable for the things she's saying. YTA. Here's some questions for you. What was the situation about her being rude? Why does she believe her teacher deserve it? Do you know the answer to any of this, or too busy fighting with her and then driving her to her mom's place? Being an adult is hard. It requires something known as patience and maturity, not impulsive lashing out like a little child. She said she wishes you were dead, and now you trying to act it out? Malicious much? Childish much? Should she be punished for her actions? Yes. Is abandonment the right punishment? Not in the least. If abandonment to your go-to punishment, it's going to numb her to you. Why worry about someone abandon you at the drop of a hat for days or weeks? Why put emotional investment in a building that can stop being your home at drop of a hat? Congratulations. You've shown she has 2 cold parents. Sound like she can at least rely on her grandmother not to be a heartless monster. Please understand, she mouthed off in a very trusting way. She was that confident of your unconditional love that she felt safe testing the limits. You may end up with a more docile child for a while, but if left too long, or brought back home without a heartfelt guiding conversation, she may have trust issues about what if dad abandons me again. I know you don't see that as what you did, but a teen may see it that way and may now be terrified. If you bring her back home, UWNBTAH. Children have terrible impulse control. She clearly doesn't mean what she said. You should sit her down and speak to her. Maybe that bitch did deserve it. It's inappropriate language for a 14-year-old. Sure, but 14-year-olds don't have fully developed emotional capabilities. We got into a fight. How? You're the adult here. And as a parent myself, I've never had a fight with my daughter. For there to be a fight, both parties have to engage. If your daughter wasn't dealing with the situation rationally, she needed time to think about her actions. As the adult, you could have stepped away. You could have asked her to ponder what had transpired before things escalated. At 14, she's maturing and learning about her emotions and how to resolve disputes which become more common. As we enter adulthood, she needs to feel empowered to learn those skills in a safe environment. Her home. Otherwise she'll go through life avoiding its inevitable disagreements. What she said to you was highly inappropriate. Taking some time out and then explaining how that made you feel would have been more effective than demonstrating your feelings by getting her out of the house and ignoring her messages. What has she learned from this episode? That if she disagrees with you and things escalate, you can remove her from her home and ignore her? Hopefully not. But if I put myself in her shoes, your actions would break my heart. She clearly loves you. That's why you're getting texts. Parenting is very, very difficult. We have to swallow down so many of our own emotions when dealing with children. To help them learn how to better control their own emotions. AmITA here. Although it's clearly a very difficult situation, I wish you the best in resolving it with her. Unless you're thinking that your kid's behavior will be fixed at the other parent's home. I don't see how this is a rational reaction. It's too close to abandonment for a 14-year-old. I don't know where things went wrong, but you're not doing the parent thing by fixing her behavior. Even after she apologized and realized she didn't mean what she said. Dumping her at the parent that doesn't have custody sounds like a cruel thing to do. Your daughter doesn't want to be there. I assume mom didn't bother to try for custody or else she'd have it. And now you have a kid that is begging you to parent her. That's a big YTA to me.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.